David is a longtime client. He has a bunch of my pieces forever. And yeah, he'd been bugging about it, but I just wanted, like, at that time, I wanted it to be perfect. You know, like, I wanted everything to just be perfect on him. Like, and that's not usually how it works, but I think that was the main thing to overcome. Like, the most perfectionists are procrastinators, and like the perfect moment never comes. So that was one thing that I learned, was just like, you know what, it's that time's not gonna come. Like, this guy's giving you the opportunity, hop on that, you know. Like, and then once I did, we ended up winning a couple of awards on his back. And like, at that time I had only been in a professional shop for like a year maybe. So like, that's a huge leap from like getting fired from my apprenticeship, you know, working out of the house, and finally getting a job, and then as a tattooer, and then getting the opportunity to do that for him. And there's like a big transition from going to the house to the shop too, because prices changed, and you know, a lot of people kind of fell off, and he stayed with me. So there's a lot of learning that came with that tattoo and just him as a client altogether. I think the biggest lesson though was like, don't wait for the perfect moment. Just, you know, if you have the opportunity, take it. Altogether, I think it was 36 hours. So I had worked out a deal with the owner of the shop and him to where he could come in every week and pay like a set amount. So I think we worked on it for like 6 weeks, 7 weeks, something like that in a row. Like, every week he was just coming in and getting 3 hours at a time. And the first couple weeks, easy. He was just sitting like crazy, like super easy, but your body just kind of is like, yo, like, what the fuck? After a while, and he just started bugging, especially when we got to the lower back. But you know, as far as techniques go, like, I could probably finish that the same amount of time in less sessions now, but that was like 10 years ago. So I think I did all right. It's just like, I didn't really know what I was doing. I was kind of guessing, so it came out all right. I would definitely love to go in on it again, but yeah, that was it. He just committed to it. And the first ones, I think the first sessions were 6 hours or 5 hours, and then they slowly got to 3 hours, but we had set it up to where we were doing 3 hours every time. It's just, you know, the body can only handle so much. When I saw it again, I kind of had a lot of mixed feelings. Like, there's one of nostalgia, so it's like, oh man, I remember when, you know, and then doing all the conventions and stuff and showing it off and getting praise for that. And then I feel like every year I'm learning more and I'm doing more. I'm taking classes, I'm studying, I'm doing this and that. And so I see like different choices I may have made now, or like if I got the opportunity to go back in, you know, I would definitely be hitting some spots and tightening some loose ends and stuff. I'm really bad about that though. Like, there's only a handful of pieces that I could look back at and be like, okay, like, I should probably leave that alone. Like, I'm real critical about everything. So if I see something old, I'm like, like, I would love to just go in and, you know, update it a little bit. So it's hard to, when I look at tattoos, I look at my marks. I don't even see the whole image. Like, I can't even enjoy the whole fucking tattoo. So looking at it, I'm like, people are like, oh man, and then I'm just looking at all the little tiny marks that I made, and I'm like scrutinizing it and getting crazy in my head about it, and it's not good because I can't just enjoy the image. But that's just how it goes. I think that's with any artist though, with whatever craft they're in. They're gonna either hear themselves or look at this or look at that, and they're kind of get on themselves. I think my personal standard pushes me, but I don't think it gets in the way of it. I think that I know at that time I did the best I could, like to the level I could, so that's okay. If I look back and I'm like, I know like I was half-assing it, that's when I'm like even worse. Then I'm like, oh damn, like like that's the part where I'm where I'll be pissed. You know, like if I knew I took like a little shortcut and I should have just went the long way. I know with that piece, like I'm critical about it, but I know that I really put everything I had into it, and I put it on him at the best of my ability at that time. Like, my ability will change over time, and then Eventually it'll digress, but you know, at that time, I gave him everything. Like I gave him all I had, so I can't be too upset. But you know, you could always do better later. I think with tattooing these days, most artists aren't grounded. I'm super critical of myself. Like, I look at my stuff now and everyone's like, oh, you're at the top of your game, and I barely even feel like I'm touching the surface. It has been like that for like 12 years. So I don't know if I'm chasing like some carrot that I'm never going to catch, but I think that's part of the process. I think if you're not critical of yourself, that's kind of your loss. And there's a lot of tattooers that fucking aren't critical of themselves, and they could be the most talented person, but I consider that kind of like a dead artist. When you're just content with what you're doing, it's like, oh, well, that's a wrap for you. Like, if I work hard, I'm gonna pass you up.